Yo, everybody. Dave Grant with Real Estate Broker today. And today we are going to talk about some risk management and scammers, if you will. So I'm going to give you a scenario here. I have an agent who gets a phone call from an individual, says that they would like them to list their property. Our agent goes and prepares documents, emails those listing documents to this individual with contact information they provided. Then they get the documents back signed. They initiate some photography, initiate getting a sign on the property. Sign goes up. You get a phone call from a hostile individual. Says, I want to know why you have my property listed for sale. Agent says, well, you had called and asked me to have your property listed. I never did such a thing. You, you're listing my property without my authorization. Come to find out, uh, the agent was being scammed from an individual. So, a couple of things you got to keep in mind as a real estate professional. Okay. Number one, this particular agent, when they received the phone call, they didn't use exercise, you know, their best, you know, I don't know what you want to call it, best decision making, but they didn't verify that the entity on the phone was in fact the owner. And we can only do so much, right? But what we should do at the very least is say, great, you know, Mr. Homeowner, Mrs. Homeowner, we've never done business before because this person had called and said, I found your information on Google, right? So to verify that in fact you are the entity and have the authority to list and sell the property, can you include a copy of your photo ID that's going to match up with the name on the tax record? Right? That's really all we can do is to verify who they are is request a copy of their photo ID, right? And there's some other fail-safe things that may take place during the escrow period that title and escrow might do background checks, name checks, things of that nature. But at the point of contact or the point of taking the listing, at the very least, we need to be getting an ID from that individual if we aren't familiar with who they are and we don't know who they are. So this agent failed to do that. So in turn, was actually had listing paper that was not valid and put a property on the market when they didn't have the authority to do so. What we found out was through the local law enforcement here in Las Vegas is this is a scam that's happening. And what they're doing is they're engaging agents to put properties on the market. And I know what a lot of you are thinking, like, oh, well, can't close escrow because the seller's going to have to sign. And we're not getting to close of escrow, okay? They're putting the property on the market. When they engage a buyer, they are commanding that the earnest money deposit be wired to a third-party attorney who's going to be overseeing the transaction. Here in Las Vegas, we use title and escrow companies, so that would automatically first ring a bell in your head saying, well, we don't use real estate attorneys, right? But this is what their scam is. And then when the buyer wires that earnest money deposit over to this bogus attorney bank account, they go radio silence, right? Not returning calls, can't get a hold of them. They've taken the earnest money and they run. Then they repeat, wash and repeat this scam, wash and repeat this scam where they collect whatever that earnest money is, 5, 10, 15, 20 grand, whatever the case is, and they move on to the next. So best advice to you as a real estate professional, if you don't know somebody and they're asking you to transact, get a photo ID to ensure that that name matches up the name on the tax record and the ownership of that, piece of property, land, dirt, home, whatever it is they're trying to sell. Secondly, back in the ID thing, if you are working with buyers and you've got a buyer that gives you a call, right? A lot of times we get online lead inquiries, if you will. If you get a buyer that calls you and says, hey, Dave, this is Billy Bob Buyer, and I'd like to go take a look at 123 Banana Street. Can you meet me out at the house? Absolutely, we can meet you out at the house. However, if you can do me a favor, after we've maybe asked some pre-qualifying questions, right? Like, great, well, why are you looking? What's your time frame? Have you been pre-qualified, right? We just want to run out and meet somebody, but a lot of time agents do this. Say, as a safety protocol that myself and we have in our business within our brokerage, would you mind sending me over a picture of your photo ID so I know who I'm meeting at the property, put a face with the name, and what type of vehicle will you be in, and a photo of the license plate. That's a reasonable request, right? And if the other person on the other end of that phone does not want to send you a photo ID, does not want to tell you what type of vehicle they're in, send you a license plate, chances are they're not a legitimate buyer, right? If they're a legitimate buyer, they're going to have respect for you. They're going to understand your need for a safety protocol, right? We wouldn't put them in that situation. And they'll be respectful of it, and they'll send you over what you asked for. If they don't want to send that over, then I would advise you, as if I was your broker, not to go meet those folks. And the other additional layer is maybe let another agent in your office, let your broker know, maybe your spouse, hey, I'm meeting, Dave Grant at 123 Banana Street this afternoon to go show him the property, right? Let somebody know where you're going, just as that safety protocol, all right? So we've talked a little bit about scams out there, okay? Use your best judgment. That was the terminology I was actually looking for earlier in the conversation, but use your best judgment, right? And be safe out there, right? If somebody's not willing to do something that's a very simple request, chances are, they're not a legitimate buyer, and maybe they have, bad intentions, okay? So that's today's tip. Keep your eyes open for scams, safety out there. And again, we're trying to deliver good value for here at Real Estate Broker Today. If you ever need anything, have questions, concerns, email me, text, reach out via the YouTube channel. I always try to make myself available to answer as many questions. And if you're a Las Vegas real estate professional looking for another brokerage or maybe some support that you don't get where you're currently at, we'd love the opportunity to talk with you. So Dave Grant with Real Estate Broker Today, and have a great rest of your week. Bye now.